Welcome back. It's Simply Bitcoin. We break down the news from Twitter, the daily fail, meme review, software releases, hardware releases, the websites by plebes or plebs. Joining us today, fellow Bitcoiner, cypherpunk, cryptographer, inventor of Hashcash. I'm talking about Adam Back. That's right. He's joining us on the fun with Simply Bitcoin. We're going to the numbers. Let's do it.
Number time. Sponsored by Bitcoin 2022.
At the time of this recording, the block height is 705,735. The Bitcoin price, 63,560. Chain rewrite days, 858. Total public lightning capacity, 3,113.62. Sats per dollar or Moscow time, 1573. And the blocks to the halvening, 134,265. Nico, that public lightning capacity has totally just all our models are destroyed.
Yeah, and I just want to say, you know, while everyone's focusing on Twitter, everyone's focusing on the Bitcoin ETF, and you know, it's 2% from all-time high. That's the noise. The signal is the public lightning network capacity. That's another all-time high, 3,113. That's freaking awesome. That being said, Phil, it's time for
the Daily Fail. Sponsored by Pirate Hash. All right. So, you know what? I've been meaning to switch over to the government, you know, the government and Fed fails and stuff like that. And we do have a good one that we're going to spin up soon. But today, again, one last one, okay? Because this I thought was funny, okay? So these are some NFT garbage called a Mekaverse, okay? And so Crypto Angel, LTC Angel, so shitcoin Angel. Anyways, so glad I bought 4 Mekaverse. They're so rare and unique. Now I want you guys to really take a look at this. Okay, this is the first one. You can't just go printing. You don't have the unique hash behind it, Nico.
No,
okay?
I printed it, Phil. I printed it. You could sue me.
So, but wait. I want to show you some uniqueness here because we're about to dive into this.
So wait. First of all, she has the CEO of Bitcoin in her bio. Just.
Oh yeah. So hold on. Yeah, maybe we could just dive into that first for just a quick second. CEO of Bitcoin, altcoins, NFT, memes. So already you could see this account is full of signal. Okay, here we go. This is fantastic. So here's the first image. Pay close attention. I'm about to bring up the second one. Okay. Unique. Here comes the third. You don't see it yet?
Yeah, it adds little things.
Uniqueness, Nico. Doesn't matter what type of uniqueness, as long as it's uniqueness. I don't even know what we're looking at. Okay, anyways. So it kind of got me thinking, right? I'm like, what the hell is this? So, of course, I had to go digging into the thread. And here we go. We've got, you know, right when I see the .eth, I know we mean some business here. So let's take a look. The Mekaverse collapse is more than just FOMO. So it just so happens that these pictures I just showed you, these NFTs, it turns out that they're intertwined in a bit of a fraud right now, it seems. All right, don't worry. I'm going to pull up the article that kind of brings this together. So the Mekaverse collapse is more than just FOMO and weak hands capitulating. This is actual fraud. Insiders had access to, this is the best part, hidden metadata, and were able to snipe legendary and ultra-rare pre-reveal mints from the unsuspecting collectors. Even the devs were involved in this. It's bad.
It's a rug pull.
I mean, this is ridiculous, you know? So, obviously, here's some more pictures of, you know, these, you know, Gundam-like robots. All right, great. Let's dive into what they think actually happened here. Mekaverse, Ethereum NFT rollout dogged by fraud allegations. Who would have thought, right, that people who can, you know, individually mint these things would try to defraud the public? Take a look. Very fancy, right? I definitely want to pay a lot of money for this. Anyways, the initial rollout was dogged by controversy, and even more allegations of potential fraud have surfaced since then. When Mekaverse, an Ethereum-based collection of 8,888 randomly generated profile pictures. You guys saw those 4 that I showed you? Randomly generated profile pictures. Held its minting process on October 7th. The new NFT owners didn't immediately know which image they had bought. It was like an IOU. Holders saw a placeholder image ahead of a planned collection-wide reveal days later. Even secondary market buyers didn't know what they were getting. A number of allegations have surfaced on social media suggesting that some buyers may have had early access to the metadata or the info. You think? You think some buyers or maybe the devs had access to this because they created this? Anyways. All right. Some buyers may have had early access to the metadata or the information that describes which attributes each NFT image contains. That data could have been used to purchase rare NFTs, sight unseen. In a viral tweet thread, Twitter user Molotov accused the Mekaverse launch of being rigged. They highlighted public data from OpenSea and other sources that suggest one of the developers on the project, YB0 from Minded Studio, managed to purchase one of the rarest NFTs around, the average going price before the reveal. Does this sound familiar, Nico? This kind of reeks of pre-mine, doesn't it?
Man,
doesn't this sound so 2017 ICO-ish?
It is, but it's like redressed into NFTs.
Much worse. Yes. So like they couldn't effectively fool everyone with DeFi, right? So we've got NFTs. So everybody who doesn't get caught in the liquidity for no reason trap, they can get caught into the art for no reason trap. You know? It's like pick your trap. Anyways, it's not the only it's not the only tweeted accusation around the project. In another thread, Twitter user AutoSuin makes the case that a single wallet holder scored multiple rare Mekaverse NFTs from unrevealed purchases, potentially via leaked metadata info. He added, "There were so many suspicious buys after mint. Now we know why." Here we go, the team's response. Decrypt reached out to the Mekaverse team on Thursday, including directly to the co-creators, Matt Brashini and Maddie, but did not hear back from any of them. That's a shock. A custom Python script to aid with randomization, along with a seed system for regenerating the order if needed. Okay? It also used a private server not on a blockchain to complete the randomizing process. This is how they minted these NFTs, people. There's no way that this could have been tampered. There's no way that people could have selectively chosen which ones they got before this all happened. I just don't see it. So look, again, you know, we're just showing you another. This is just another ridiculous situation where people are getting scammed. Okay, you're paying to have a unique hash that has actually no tie whatsoever. People can reprint the art. People can resell the art themselves. Nothing stops this from happening. This does not help artists. It doesn't help the art space. This is a huge affinity scam, and I'm sorry, you know, it's just going to hurt more people until the rug finally pulls out from the, you know, from the ecosystem itself.
Yeah, man. Look, I completely agree. I think the NFTs are the ICO boom of this cycle. And it's just hilarious because unlike the ICOs, you could literally print out these physical pictures, you know, and this guy was like, look, I have it on my wall. And I'm like, look, I printed and put it on my wall. And I think I saw a tweet the other day and they're like, wait, you can make physical NFTs. And I wrote like, yeah, that's called art, you know. But again, it's just another scheme, I guess, to separate you away from your Bitcoin. That's literally how I see it. Unfortunately, a lot of people coming into the space fall for that. We call it the price of tuition. So it's unfortunate, dude, but it is what it is. Hopefully some of those people that get burned find the truth, and the truth is Bitcoin. But Adam, what do you think of NFTs? I think everyone's very excited to know.
Yeah, I saw I saw somebody made a very interesting comment, which is those altcoins in your wallet are NFTs without the JPEGs.
It's
true. It was very good. Because it explains both phenomena, right? In one very short quote.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree. And yeah, man, look, at the end of the day, none of the the NFTs, altcoins, they don't solve the problem. They're all inherently centralized. They don't separate humans from the monetary policy. Only Bitcoin does that. Phil?
I just want to add, right? They're really scamming people. So look, okay, this is... They think that the value proposition is the scarcity. What they don't understand is that it's not just scarcity that offers the value proposition, and so they try to trick you with this. But listen, if there's millions and millions of quote-unquote scarce NFTs, then they are not scarce. I'm sorry, like that, you know, just creating 8,888 of this picture that nobody cares about, that really is completely useless, okay, that can be censored, that is centralized, that is not tied to anything, that doesn't take any proof of work in any way, shape, or form to create. I'm sorry, you're just getting scammed.
An NFT is a shitcoin. It's a shitcoin of a shitcoin. But anyways, that being said, Phil, it's time for
the Daily Meme Review, sponsored by
Citadel 21.
All right, everybody. The first meme is brought to us by 21 Minimal. You can go give him a follow. Definitely looks like a fellow plebe. My Bitcoin wallet, my bank account. I'm definitely one of those people. And here's Bitcoin Leota. My Bitcoin wallet, my bank account. This is absolutely correct. If you have any fiat in your bank account, you have absolutely no idea what you're doing. Anyways, the next tweet is brought to us by Adam. Or Adam retweeting. He says, whoa, an actual minor meme. TIL, apparently IRS does hate ESG due to tax credit frauds. Says the Bitcoin miner says off-grid too much, hates ESG more than that. That's actually pretty funny. Checks hash rate immersion, bro. Runs Brain OS on S9 Teams. DMs full of inquiries for available hosting. Runs S9 and tells everyone spends all week. Okay, I'm guilty of some of this. Few and moved to Texas. Absolutely hilarious. Moving on to the next one. And it is a meme by BTC Padre. Definitely a fellow plebe. Let's check it out.
That's accurate.
Good meme. Moving on to the next one. And this was the legend. This was amazing. Anyways, brought to us by a fellow plebe. Spot the spooks. We need Adam back. Meme review, and it's, are we winning, son? Yes, Dad. Adam back likes our memes. I'm gonna scratch that out and said, yes, Dad. Adam back came on Simply Bitcoin. So awesome memes, and for those awesome memes, in honor of Adam back coming on the show, I'm going to give it a printed NFT just to show you guys that this is absolute dog shit. Anyways, Phil?
Love the memes. Absolutely fantastic. And you know what? It may not seem like a really big score, but it's really meaningful. I am giving this a very unique Raspberry Pi sticker.
Ooh.
Right? Because we all know everyone should be able to run a node.
Wow. Mic drop. Adam, what would you give those memes?
I'm not sure of all your objects. You have like a paperclip binder thing there?
Yeah, I do.
That thing. Okay.
That thing. Okay, so this is like a food grinder, which just broke on camera, and it's to keep food together. So great scores. We got a Publix food thing, an NFT printed piece of paper, and a Raspberry Pi sticker. But anyways, guys, do you agree with our scores? Do you disagree? Let us know down in the comment section. And of course, join our Telegram group. Link us some memes to review because it's a Bitcoin meme review. Anyways, Phil, it's time for
the Daily News, sponsored by
Crypto Cloaks.
All right, everybody. So we actually covered this in May, the moment that Marathon started censoring transactions in the name of OFAC compliance. And then the OFAC, which is a part of the US Treasury, released this guidance, and they essentially, it's kind of hardcore, right? Basically requiring US citizens not to do any type of transactions with any country that they deemed is sanctioned, right? And we were actually first to report this before the New York Times came out with an article that says Treasury warns that digital currencies could weaken U.S. sanctions. So let's talk about this a little bit, right, from the perspective, and think about how messed up this is. Just because you were born in Venezuela, just because you were born in Afghanistan, just because you were born in Iran, the United States deems that you are not bankable. And when you see that article by the New York Times, what they're essentially saying is that Bitcoin is bad, right? And you can kind of connect the dots why the mainstream media is focusing so much on El Salvador and completely ignoring the concentration camps that are being built in Australia. Really, you know, makes you start to ask a little bit of questions, right? So when you see an article like that from the New York Times, it tells me that we're winning, but it also tells me that we have a huge battle in front of us. Very scary stuff. And again, look, do we want to live in a world where you have this open monetary network where you can transact with anyone freely? Or do you want to live in a network where, in a society that we live now, where a group of elites get to dictate who and who doesn't get to participate in the monetary system, right? Me as a Venezuelan immigrant, I was lucky enough to get a US passport, so now I am deemed worthy to be bankable. But let's say I had my Venezuelan passport still and I didn't have an American citizenship, I wouldn't be bankable according to the US government. So their sanctions are aimed at specific groups, right? You know, the government and stuff. But in reality, it affects all the people living in that said country. And I think that's really messed up. Phil, what are your thoughts?
I just, you know, this, okay. I understand the politics behind it, okay? I get, right, that the governments need to make themselves seem useful and, you know, create these types of scenarios. But I've said this in the past, right? Like, to me, to stop an entire country from participating in the financial system, I don't care, you know, what country, not everybody in that country is quote unquote, not financially viable. Okay. Like that's just the honest to God truth. And there's plenty of people, there's lots of talent that gets stifled. There's many people that get thrown into a life that they don't end up deserving, all because they were born in the wrong place. Nobody deserves that. Everybody should have access to the monetary system. We should be judged really by our actions. Okay. I'm sorry, but everybody should have the right to be able to store their value and be able to transact and not be censored. Governments are supposed to serve the people. That was the whole point, but instead we got tricked and we've been getting screwed for, I mean, hundreds of years, and I'm sure even longer, right? Let's be honest. They're monarchies. That wasn't really much different either. So at the end of the day, our existence has been that of a giant pyramid scheme. Okay? Like, that's really what it is. And finally, for the first time ever, everybody can actually have this. And you know what? The sanctions, I don't see this type of stuff holding up in the future. I think the more people get orange pilled, the more people wake up, you know, the harder time that governments are going to find to stop people from being able to transact.
Adam, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think Bitcoin brings self-sovereignty, so it changes the landscape in terms of, you know, separating money from state. I think that's a good, enormous step for the world. And I think obviously governments didn't like the internet early either. In it, you know, in the 90s when that was getting mass adoption, they lost some of their influence and ability to censor, literally censor in a direct sense, media. And in that context, John Gilmore, one of the founders of the EFF, had said a famous quote that the internet views censorship as damage and routes around it. So just to say, it's, you know, it's very difficult to place borders and controls on the open internet with permissionless protocols. And actually, I think Marathon, the mining company, has subsequently dropped that kind of transaction selection policy.
Mm-hmm. They did. It's funny too because you know, they mined clean blocks, but you had some Iranian miners sending them dust into that block, you know, so it wouldn't be deemed clean anymore. And it's very interesting that you said that, Adam. There was the cryptography war. I think that they were trying to make it illegal. Correct me if I'm wrong. certain types of encryption back in the 90s.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it was indirect. I mean, well, explicitly an attempt to limit access to strong encryption in general, like deter its use or frustrate standardization and adoption, just all kinds of subterfuge on internet standards and things like that. And one of the kind of levers they were trying to use was to bar export of strong encryption from the US. And all that ended up doing was pushing some software development of crypto libraries offshore, basically. So eventually that was dropped finally. So I think that was a struggle at the time, but it's now old news because just about every app you encounter of any interest has sort of end-to-end encryption, disk encryption, signal, voice, data encryption. Anything you want to encrypt, it's pretty easy to do nowadays.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. It's crazy. We're living through this time where governments lost their monopoly on information because of the internet, and now they're losing their monopoly on the creation of money. It's creating this total chaos. But moving on to the next topic, this was really interesting, and I got into Bitcoin through mining, and one of the things that always concerned me was the fact that most of the mining manufacturers were located in China, right? So when I heard this news about Blockstream acquiring, I can't pronounce it, Spoondoolies. I got super excited. I wanted to ask you about that. So just to read a little bit, Spoondoolies was founded in Israel by a team of former semiconductor engineers and became one of the first mining hardware companies outside of Asia to make high performance ASIC miners. So from my limited understanding, Adam, part of the reason that Bitmain is so successful is that they're kind of, at the state of the art in terms of ASIC manufacturing. And do you see this company being competitive to a machine like the S19?
Yeah, I mean, actually, the sort of degree of effective competition has changed quite a bit since around the time of the build-up of centralization that possibly had a factor in the fork drama. In a mining manufacturing, I think they looked at it as a way to influence what the ecosystem would do, and that backfired. But since then, there are more manufacturers. For example, Watts Miner is pretty good. Some of their equipment is, better. It reaches its performance targets. It gets delivered. It's reliable, and its performance, its efficiency is great. And so, we're looking to make a line of miners that are manufactured outside of China. Of course, the actual ASIC manufacturing is done by foundries, and there are very few of them. So that's a different form of centralization. And most of those are actually the advanced process node, sort of 10 nanometer or less, are all outside of China. So, Samsung, TSMC, previously Global Foundries, and Intel, all outside the global companies with foundries in different parts of the world.
So do you see, because I know that the majority of the semiconductor manufacturing is located in Taiwan, and you see China, I guess flexing their might, perhaps because they see the US weak at the moment. Do you see that as a reason of concern? Because there is a semiconductor shortage. Do you see that affecting the mining industry at all?
Yeah, I mean, the semiconductor shortage is kind of pervasive. So it's affecting automotive, which isn't typically advanced process, very advanced process node, but it's affecting lots of different things, laptops, phones, cars, and of course mining. So general COVID supply chain disruptions don't help, but the ASIC shortage is a bigger factor. And I think what that does is it, creates a shortage of miners and slows down normally if the price of Bitcoin goes up, people will buy more miners, the hash rate will go up and it will normalize. But because of this ASIC shortage, it takes the hash rate longer to catch up with the price, and it prolongs the efficiency, the profitability for people who already have miners. And I think in terms of the TSMC exposure, in terms of one geography, the US government, for non-Bitcoin reasons, has encouraged building more fabs in the US. So there's a multi-billion-dollar fab being built in Arizona over the next 4 or 5 years or something for advanced process nodes. So they are actually pretty international. There are semiconductor fabs in Israel and Germany and different parts of the world and in the US. Some of those companies, they have fabs outside of their headquarter country.
Awesome. So last topic I wanted to cover, and I think this one really blows everyone's mind. This is from the original Bitcoin white paper, and Adam here mentioned in that. Just to kind of read the actual sentence real quick. To implement a distributed timestamp server on a peer-to-peer basis, we will need to use a proof-of-work system similar to Atom-Back's Hashcash rather than a newspaper reel or Usenet post. So, Adam, question. First of all, you've been in Bitcoin since the beginning, right? What was your reaction when El Salvador made it legal tender? What has been all the other stress tests as well, like the China ban, the significant drop in hash rate, the incentives of Bitcoin coming back in, the recovery of the hash rate, of course, the 2017 fork wars. You've been through all of that. Has this been an emotional roller coaster like it has been for us plebs that got in 2016?
Yeah, it's never a dull day in Bitcoin. And I think the news, like the mainstream news, is generally quite confused. And of course, it's a complicated space, so there's a fair bit of information asymmetry, by which I mean, the mainstream media will say, China's banning Bitcoin, but people who've been here for a while know that China's banned Bitcoin dozens of times, and it doesn't make that much difference, in a big picture. So in terms of price influence, I think the effect of that diminished over time to the point that, it just creates a small blip and things carry on. Yeah, it's always exciting. And, I think the anti-fragility of the network is down to individual users. It's very heartening seeing people, lots of individuals rally around protecting Bitcoin from sort of a centralization or introduction of governance. I would say generally Bitcoin doesn't have governance. It's just doing incremental technology upgrades, opt-in features, and the idea of governance is generally a elected group of bureaucrats or something who are making decisions about something, and there's no decision to make about Bitcoin. Bitcoin's digital gold, and it does its thing. Now, people are making technical improvements, but they're not changing anything about the invariance of the network. And so, I'm sure that the people who were proposing some of these forks thought they were doing the right thing to scale Bitcoin and make it available to more people, but the way they went about it was all wrong. And, obviously it's like to use the terminology that Satoshi used, I think, in the past, that it's kicking a hornet's nest, right? So if you try to force a change on a loose association of lots of Bitcoiners, of course they're going to take it badly and fight back, and that's what they did. And so I think obviously there was a lot of online discussion and arguments and different smaller companies and Bitcoin embassies and things like that saying things. And then there was a lot of it also got fought out in the market. So, it seemed like the miners had a stated intent to support the fork, but ultimately they had to, do what the market wanted, or they would have gone bankrupt within days, basically. And so, the market was the collective view of the activist investors, which is all of us. So I think that was one of the most bullish things in Bitcoin, because it kind of cemented the immutability guarantee. right? That, if you've got your full node and you've got your keys, there's pretty much nothing anybody can do to influence your ability to store and spend your coins.
So, and absolutely, and in that process, right? It's let me take it back to this question. How does it feel to be included in the white paper of a technology that is literally freeing mankind and changing the world in a way that will never be the same, and taking back the power from government and giving it back to individuals for the first time in human history? That legacy must be insane. Is that something that you ever think about?
Well, I mean, bear in mind the Hashcash proposal was a long time ago, right? That was in 1997. And so a lot of people knew about Hashcash. And so if I'd go to technical conferences, people would see a name tag and, oh, you're the guy that invented Hashcash. And they knew about it for anti-spam reasons. So I was kind of used to being recognized by people I didn't know, like personally. And of course, there was a lot of excitement back in the sort of mid-90s about other electronic cash systems that were a bit too centralized and failed for that reason. So, of course, Bitcoin is just, that on steroids. I mean, it's just massive in comparison, right? When I say there was a lot of excitement, it was very small and nascent compared to where Bitcoin is, even some years ago. So, yeah, because of that, I got some kind of instant name recognition and fame in the Bitcoin space. But I think, it took a while before people even acknowledged that Bitcoin uses Hashcash. When I went on the Bitcoin forum, there were lots of people arguing, no, it doesn't. And so that's fine. I mean, I think it's, the important thing is to, keep innovating for the future. Like, things that were done in the past are done. And the interesting thing is, what we can do to improve Bitcoin and accelerate hyper-Bitcoinization and make it stick.
Absolutely. Everyone has a role. You don't need to be a coder. You could be a YouTuber like us. You could be a meme poster, right? Everyone is fighting that good fight to free mankind. But before we go, Phil, do you have any closing thoughts?
No, not at all. I was just happy to listen. That's all.
That was definitely incredible. But Phil, there was an open source software release today. Why don't you tell everybody about it?
Software releases. All right, everyone. We've got nix-bitcoin version 0.0.53 that was released. Nix-bitcoin is a collection of Nix packages and Nix OS modules for easily installing fully featured Bitcoin nodes with an emphasis on security. Check it out down below in the show notes.
Awesome. Thank you, Phil. Before we go, get your tickets to Bitcoin 2022. It's going to be the largest Bitcoin conference ever. It's going to be in sunny Miami. Get your tickets quick because the prices do go up. Take advantage of the link down below for 10% off Bitcoin 2022. Check out Cloaks for the best 3D printed Bitcoin merch like the Bitcoin grenade. And take advantage of the link down below, 5% off, cryptocloaks.com. Check out Citadel 21 for pure plebs signal. It's articles written by plebs for plebs. Check out citadel21.com. And of course, Pirate Hash. Some awesome Bitcoin trinkets like a Bitcoin board game, a Bitcoin source code. It's by the guy that designed the UI for Bisq. piratehash.com. And also, I want to give a very, very special shout out to our amazing guest, the legendary Adam Back. He probably doesn't see himself as so, but we definitely do. You can give him a follow if you're not already doing so at Adam3us. He is a cyberpunk cryptographer, privacy eCash, inventor of Hashcash, PhD in computer science, and he is the co-founder of Blockstream. Definitely also get yourself a Blockstream Jade hardware wallet. Really recommend one. Phil had one. Super, super cool. Guys, that was our show. If you enjoyed the show, you know what to do. Smash that like button. And of course, Adam's showing one right now. I'll pop it up on screen. And of course, if you want to continue hearing the catastrophic fails from the NFTers, the central bankers, governments in general, and the Bitcoin news from the pleb perspective, definitely consider subscribing And we'll see you tomorrow, guys, for another episode of Simply Bitcoin.
Bitcoin. There is no alternative.